Good evening and welcome back to the Celtic Way reaction to Celtic 3, Hibernian 1. Celtic booked their place in quarter-final of the League Cup where they will play Falkirk. And the reaction is Daizen at the double as Kuhn steals the show yet again. Ryan, Celtic 3, Hibernian 1, you were there. After 17 minutes, I thought the two of us were going to be somewhere in the region of our scorelines. You said 5-0. And I either go one up or one down. So I went one up because I was feeling quite confident about things after the first 17 minutes there. Turns out that Celtic won 3-1 in the end. But another decent display, Ryan. Just I'd love to have seen more goals, but they're through to the next round of the Cup. That's all that matters.
That is all that matters at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they do it, by what means in which they do it. As long as they get through to the next round, that is the main thing. And they did that today. I agree with you. After about 15, 20 minutes, I was like, how many could this be today? They looked right up for it. Hatate was pulling the strings once again. Matt O'Reilly was playing a big role as well. Nicholas Kuhn was just being devastating. At his devastating best once again. I think that's maybe perhaps the second or third game in a row in which he's been player of the match, in my opinion. I think he's a player that's really... He's really kicked on from where he was at the end of last season. You know, there was promising signs that there was a player there, but my goodness, he's came a long way over the summer. Full pre-season, looks like he's got his weight back from the 9 kilograms that he lost with that dental surgery, and yeah, he's a player that's really causing havoc. He's causing havoc to any opposition that he's coming up against, and long may that continue because he's playing a big part in everything good about Celtic at the moment. But 3 goals, Kasper Schmeichel had to concede a goal at some point. If you're going to concede a goal, it might be an unbelievable header from the Hibs striker.
He's never saving that anyway. You know what I mean? So
no, absolutely. So he's not faced a save yet. Is basically what we're trying to say, because there was no way he was going to get anywhere near that. But yeah, 3 goals, 1 goal conceded. I think we'll take that in the hat for the next round. Falkirk at home, a very favourable draw, you would say, for Celtic, despite their great win against Hearts yesterday.
Wanted to bring up somebody that you never mentioned in your wee spiel there, Greg Taylor. I thought Greg Taylor was excellent today.
Immense today.
I know you did your player ratings there on the site. You can have a look at them, guys, and you've given Greg Taylor a wonderful mark, but credit where it's due. He's had a tremendous start to the season, Greg Taylor, and I think you mentioned in your player ratings that he's hoping that can transition onto the European scene as well. But I thought he was very good today.
Yeah, there was no coincidence that he was so good today, because he was covering the role for McGregor, and there's no. That's what I was meaning to say. There's no coincidence that McGregor had a great game today, because Greg Taylor was covering him whenever he went forward. Interceptions galore, but I just think Greg Taylor's had a great start to the season. Sorry for interrupting. I want to underline the point that I gave him an 8 out of 10. I thought he was one of the best players on the park this afternoon. Yeah, I was very impressed with him.
And who'd have thunk that Daizen Maeda could play centre forward? We all knew that anyway. I think the manager of the week kind of rip it, not rip bit of the week in a bar, but when he was talking in the Premier Sports interview and he was saying, I hear all this stuff that he can't play, and he mentioned that he played him in Yokohama and he scored 3, but he'd actually played up front against Livingston, didn't he, in the Cup back in March, and he scored 3 that day as well. So he's he likes that centre forward. It's not his favourite position, but he doesn't have to do well, Ryan, when he goes there, plays through the middle, doesn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't look out of place at all when he's playing there. I thought it was a couple of real moments where you can see, you expect wide players to be fast, but you don't really. I mean, some strikers you expect to be fast, but having that hidden weapon to go up front while you've already got the wingers in Forrest and Kuhn in this instance today, it's like having 3 wingers on the park, which some people would maybe see as a negative because you don't have that potent striker. But Maeda can do that. I mean, and his two goals today were sublime. 2 really good finishes under significant pressure. He could have had more, probably should have had more as well, but I think he'll take his 2 goals and he'll be pretty happy with his day's work. He seems to be one of the most popular men at Celtic at the moment.
Is there a player if there's a more popular player than Daizen Maeda in terms of cult, hero and personality, at Celtic, then somebody needs to point them out to me, because the fans just love him, and it doesn't really matter what he does. When he does things like today, they love him even more. But he's just one of those players that you just trust implicitly, don't you? And you knew fine well when he was playing up front that he was going to score, or you felt he was going to score. My dogs are barking at somebody going by the window, but there you go. It's what happens. It's live, isn't it? Broadcast. Yeah, correct, exactly, indeed. But no, we spoke on the pre-match, didn't we? We felt that Daizen would go through the middle. We felt we would do something. The only thing that was missing for me today, Ryan, was an Adam Ida goal. Came on and he put himself about a bit. I was quite chuffed that he came on, got a wonderful reception. Good to see him back. The manager was delighted to have him back. The players delighted to be back. But lots of good stuff today. Lots of energy. A few comments coming in. I'll read a couple, because Hazel Finn, even Hazel, how you doing? Regular contributor. Told you Maida would score multiple goals. He's magic. Yes, he was magic today. Francis Grimlong. Good evening, everyone. Can we get your prediction now, Francis? Team are excellent today, says 1888 CFC. They certainly were. Francis Lester, another regular contributor. Evening, Francis. How you doing? Played some lovely stuff today. He was very impressed. Yeah, I think a lot of people were impressed. Big Dom carrying on, saying he was impressed with the hunger, the commitment, and the counter press. The manager mentioned that to Charlie Mulgrew and Michael Stewart and Emma Dodge in the Premier Sports interview. He said that he was impressed by the hunger, commitment, desire, and the way they pressed and counter pressed. So yeah, and Big Dom coming in and saying either not quite up to speed yet. Yeah, but he'll get there quickly. He's a fit boy, isn't he? And he was unlucky with that one that he was played in. He was trying to do those runs all the time, wasn't he? Bend in behind and get clean through on goal. But he will get a lot of goals like that because he's quite intelligent with the way he was running there. I was quite impressed with that. And Sunday Scotland, evening guys, some very nice fast-paced football play today. There certainly was, Ryan. How was the atmosphere? You were there. Was it good?
It was good. It wasn't as loud as what it was a couple of weeks ago on Flag Day, which is understandable, considering it wasn't even a league match, it was a cup match. But I thought that maybe Hibs could have brought more to the party in terms of an atmosphere, because they did have a sizable amount of people there from Edinburgh travelling over to the game. But that from very early on, from the first goal, I think was 3-4 minutes in, 3-4 minutes played, I believe.
4 minutes, yeah.
So they were up on their feet. The supporters were up on their feet relatively early, and at that point, you were like, Celtic. It could be whatever Celtic want at this point in time. And when they get the second goal fairly quickly after that, everybody did think that it was going to be that way. But I think the Hibs goal maybe knocked the wind out of the sails ever so slightly. Then when Nicholas Kuhn got that goal, and you've got to be in it to win it in these things, I've got to credit Nicholas Kuhn for. Both Nicholas Kuhn and Daizen Maeda, I thought, two of the best players in the park today. One of them hassles the defender into making, a risky pass back to the goalkeeper, and Nicholas Kuhn is there to capitalise on the goalkeeper daydreaming. So props to the two of them for playing a massive part in that goal. But yeah, I think after that goal, everybody knew that the game was over. Both teams didn't need to push anymore. I think they both realised what the end result was going to be. And I think Celtic just went through the motions for the rest of the game, which is fine. They've got more games to play. You don't get any more points or any more. You don't get a better draw if you score by more goals, etc. There's no point in exerting any more energy. They'd done their job, and I was quite happy with that.
Yeah. Now 9 minutes in, Ryan gives us a chance to flag this up. It's a new season sale, guys. Yeah, Ryan, kick off the new season with a year of the Celtic way. £12. For 12 months of access to everything that we do on the website, top quality journalism, covering the club you love. And you just hit that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Ryan, I believe you've got to midnight tomorrow to hit that button, yeah?
Midnight tomorrow, kick off the new season, as you said, with a year of the Celtic Way at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Instant analysis on there from Tony, player ratings from myself, as well as Q&A from Brendan Rodgers. Every word that he said in his press conference at on Premier Sports is available now on the Celtic Way website. And yeah, plenty more where that's coming from. We'll have quite a lot of advertising tomorrow to go through. So if you want to be convinced, then tomorrow is certainly your day to do so, because we're on the final day of our offer. We'll be counting down all the hours as to when this deal ends. So thank you to everybody who's already subscribed to the channel and subscribed to the website as well. But we need your help, anybody that's not done it yet. We want to make this as big as we can. So if you have the funds to be able to do so, please subscribe. £12 for a year, and that'll be you sorted until near enough the end of next August as well. So you'll have the best part of 2 transfer windows covered, as well as the whole season of what is hopefully going to be a very successful a very successful campaign for Brendan Rodgers. So yeah, get involved, guys, and thank you to everybody that's done so far.
7:15 on a Sunday night, Ryan, and over 270 people joining us live. So we thank you for that, guys. Thanks very much. Here's one. Thanks very much, Mark. Tony's just told his granddad's a Forest fan, and he watched the Sit Down with Mark O'Neill podcast. And his granddad went to both European Cup finals. So thanks, big man. Hail, hail. Made a 95-year-old's day. Tell him I said hello, Mark. Your granddad, lucky man, being at 2 winning European Cup finals, watching that brilliant Forest team under Brian Clough. And Mark O'Neill played in that. But yeah, he spoke about that. Great guy, Mark O'Neill, as well. So I very greatly appreciate that. It's great. And tell your granddad hello from me, 95-year-old. Excellent. Still going strong, Ryan. Still watching his football. 95. I love that. That's the kind of thing you want to see every day of your life, isn't it? Tremendous stuff, that.
Yeah, absolutely. It shows you're never too old to watch football and enjoy football and really look back on the glory years. And they certainly were the glory years for Nottingham Forest under Brian Clough. So yeah, lots of history between the two sides, between Nottingham Forest and Celtic respectively. So, if you know your history, you'll know all about the two teams respectively.
Now, anything else that caught your fancy today, Ryan, in terms of the performance or players? You mentioned a few. Your player ratings are up there, and the instant analysis is up on the site, and the Q&A is up on the site, guys, from Brendan Rodgers. If you want to have a read at that as well, I'll endeavour to try and put them all in the comment section as we go along here. So bear with me. Yep, there's one of them. Do that. But yeah, I mean, I was impressed with the way they went about their business today, Ryan, I have to say. There's Ryan's player ratings there in the comment section. You can have a look at that.
I just thought, again, for the second or third game running, Nicholas Kuhn looks every inch a $3 million plus player. The player that Celtic signed in January. It seems like both of those January signings are coming full circle now. With Adam Ida back at the club, with Nicholas Kuhn, who was already a permanent player in January, really shown why he should be a permanent member of this team and playing week in, week out. I don't think anybody's complaining when he's playing now on the right wing. That's his position, and the goal contributions are shown because of that. Is that 4 goal contributions, 4 or 5 in his first 3 games?
It's 5 in his first 3 games, isn't it?
5 in his first 3 games. That's some going for the young winger. I say young. He's 23, but he's still a young player plying his trade at Celtic at a big club. He's had his fair share of big clubs in terms of developing at Ajax, at Bayern Munich, and at RB Leipzig as well. But he seems to have found a home here. And 5 goal contributions in 3 games is some going. Here's hoping it can continue. But I think all the wingers are playing quite decent stuff just now. The wingers that are starting, certainly, and the players coming off the bench are looking like they want to make an impact. You see Yang. I thought he looked quite positive whenever he was on the ball. Still got a long way to go in terms of his development, but I think his versatility is what's going to save him from going out on loan this season, because he can play on the left and the right. Palma had a couple of nice step overs, but didn't really feature all too much. But it seems like everybody's quite happy at the moment at Celtic, and that bodes well for the rest of the season. All we need to see now is a couple more big signings to really supplement this squad.
Going to flick this up, because I agree with Francis. I thought Forrest was brilliant for the hour that he was on. And people were saying he could have won a penalty, he might not have got a penalty. People, in the commentary, they said that the Hibs defender did well, got his arm across him. Other people thought he was clotheslined and sandwiched. Just depends on your take on it, Ryan. People say, if it was given, it would have been a soft penalty. I'm of the opinion there's no such thing as a soft penalty, Ryan. It's either a penalty or it's not. Yeah, they either get given or they don't. In this case, it wasn't given. Did he have a case for it? Of course, he had a case for it. He's going at speed and he's been handled and touched inside the box, but not all contact is a penalty. So the referee and VAR assistant Kevin Clancy and Andrew Dallas saw it differently. So no penalty, but I thought he had a reasonable shout, Ryan, for it.
Yeah, I only seen it once, but it did seem like he was sandwiched between the two defenders. I do agree with the statement that you say it's either a penalty or it's not, and there was a bit of debate, and I think it went to VAR for a quick check, not to an on-field decision or anything like that, but it was
very
checked.
Quick check, Ryan. Quick check.
It was on the first instance when I seen it, I thought he'd maybe overran it. And maybe that is what the referee seen, but I did see a couple of people online saying that they thought it was a penalty. So it's one of those ones. I don't think there's in some of these instances, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It's just all down to interpretation. The referee clearly seen that there wasn't enough to merit a penalty. But yeah, I'll need to see it again to have a real, a real strong opinion of what happened. Thankfully, it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it would be nice to get these decisions right, if indeed it is a wrong decision.
Captain Fantastic says Mark Davis McGregor was majestic. He broke so much of their play up and he was simply brilliant. Yeah, couldn't agree more. TJ Lindy coming in. Great commitment to this channel, guys. Good atmosphere today. Keep it up, Kuhn. His numbers could be very good. Liam Scales had a good game and he wants Greg Taylor to get his contract. Thank you very much, TJ Lindy. We appreciate you coming on and giving your comments. That's why we read them out. And yeah, we have commitment to this channel, Ryan, because we enjoy what we do, don't we? We don't see it as a hardship coming on and talking about Celtic, to be honest. But we hope that passion, humour and honesty comes through in everything that we do in terms of the podcast and the writing as well. But believe me, nobody loves it more than us, and we're genuinely humbled when people come on and tell us that they enjoy it too. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything that you've said there. I do enjoy coming on and doing these shows, especially maybe an hour or so after the game when you've let the results settle and you can think about what you're going to say before you. I think there's good having the instant reaction to things, and everything in this world is instant nowadays, but at the same time it's good to have that hour and a half to think about things before coming on and then talking about it, because you get a more matter of fact opinion and you hear what Brendan Rodgers has to say after the game too, because that's on the website. By the time all of that's sorted and on the website and you're ready to do the podcast, all that's needed to be said has been said, and you can take all of that holistically and really give a more informed opinion and a more thought of opinion than what you would if it was just 2 minutes after the game. Very
true. I think last season after the Hearts game, we went on very soon after, didn't we? It was still on a.
It's a most viewed video. It's the most viewed live video on this channel. Unfortunately,
I think I was still in rage mode, wasn't I? Brendan Rodgers controlled his rage that day. I certainly didn't. Or certainly came across that way. But hey, it does happen. But yeah, we love what we do, and we love the fact that you guys come and join us as well. As I say, 360 odd people on a Sunday night, Ryan, 5 to 8. You can't beat it. And you can't beat talking about another good Celtic win. Celtic march on in the Cup. They've got Falkirk. Kasper Schmeichel's old team, Ryan. You'll enjoy that, won't you?
He certainly will, yeah. John McGlynn's old team as well, because he did work at Celtic in some capacity beforehand. So
Brendan Rodgers had a lot to say. He was the nicest man in football. One of the nicest men in football. He said to him today, he worked really, really hard for him when he was at Celtic, and he supported him when he thought his managerial days were numbered. But he said he spoke to the Raith Rovers owner about him, and he's done well. He did very well at Raith Rovers. Now he's doing very well again at Falkirk. But I can vouch for that. John McGlynn is one of the nicest men in football. He really is. He's an absolute star. He's a cracking guy. I had a lot of dealings with him in my journalistic career, and I cannot speak highly enough of him. He's a wonderful man, and I hope he enjoys a cracking day out at Celtic Park, but not too much, obviously, Ryan. That's when
before and after the game,
that's
but during the
that's
game, you're hoping that Celtic just went past, to be honest.
that's when the friendship ends. And you obviously want his team to get beaten, obviously, in Celtic to advance to the semi-finals. But fair play to Brendan Rodgers. He said he would have to be at the top of their game to beat Falkirk, and giving them the due respect that they're doing, because that's the next hurdle in the cup, and he has them playing very well as John McGlynn. So it'll be interesting to see what form they're in by the time they come to Celtic Park.
Yeah, great result yesterday against Hearts.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think there was a couple of really shocking results yesterday. The Spartans result too was probably the biggest one, but I think the Falkirk one was massive too. No two ways about it. Falkirk are a big team. They are one of the biggest teams in Scotland. I definitely put them in the top 10, 15. They're a club that should be higher up than where they currently are at this moment in time. I know that you're not guaranteed anything in football, but with the stadium that they've got, and the history that they've got, particularly recent history, 10, 15, 20 years, I think that they should be there or thereabouts. So that'll be a good day out for them. It's a chance for Celtic to get back to Hampden.
Good people at the club as well, Ryan, that do a lot in the community, and I've got a lot of time for them. As I say, I've spent a lot of time covering these clubs when I was doing my journalistic thing back in the day. So I've got a lot of time for people that do a lot in the community, and Falkirk's a great example of a community club. Lost their way a wee bit recently, but I think they're sort of getting back to where they want to be. And I like you, I agree. I think they should be a Scottish Premiership club, but they're not. But here's hoping they return to those days soon.
Yeah, and it's a great day out for them against Celtic as well. Be good for the coffers too, in terms of getting there. I'm sure they'll bring a sizable support as they do. They'll definitely be a loud support as well. So you're looking forward to that game whenever that's getting played. Is it the 21st, 22nd of September, round about that weekend? So I'm sure there'll be more information coming out at a later date, or very, very soon. But I'm looking forward to that. Always look forward to the cup action. Always think you should try and play the best team that you can in these competitions, and I'm sure that there might be rotation, but not too much. Hopefully there's new players to bed in at that point as well, and you can use that as a good opportunity.
The first 4 teams had been drawn, Ryan, and Celtic and Rangers were still in the bowl, as Marvin Bartley was. I actually thought when he drew Rangers out, I actually thought it was going to be Rangers and Celtic at Hampden in the quarter-final. I think a lot of Celtic supporters might have wanted that, actually. But there you go. It didn't happen. Rangers got Dundee, which will be a tricky one for them as well, because Dundee are going good guns at the minute themselves, so all good. But no, lots of positivity abounding about Celtic at the minute, Ryan. You see Casper picked the ball out his net, but what a goal that was. You have to hand it to Hibs. That was a thumping header. You're not saving that. Absolutely.
No. It was like almost like Cavani's header a few years back at Celtic Park. Just perfectly met. I don't know if Liam Scales could have maybe done a bit better to stop the header from getting near his direction, but it was one of those ones where once it hits the guy's head, once it hits off of is it Miko Kuricevic's head?
Kuricevich, yes, yeah.
Kuricevic's head, yeah. Then you knew it was going in the back of the net. Kasper Schmeichel was just watching it go in. There was not even a point in diving for it. He wasn't going to get his theatrics or get his highlight reels or that. I think he's too old to do anything like that, so he just allowed it to go in. But thankfully, Celtic didn't capitulate from that moment, and they actually kicked on, and then they got that goal early on in the second half, which was good for the makeup of the game and the direction in which the game was going, because it did put a firm stop to everything that Hibs were trying to do, because I did think they were better than what they showed last week at Easter Road, although I know David Gray kind of went through his players at full time in the press conference for saying they were making the same mistakes again and again. I agree with that to an extent, but at the same time, good players will punish you if you give them the opportunity. Similarly, good players are going to punish Celtic if they do slack passes in Europe, so that's something that they need to cut out of their game. But I don't think anyone was complaining about the result this afternoon. They're in the hat for the next round, and no injuries as far as we know, so even better. Yeah,
I mean there was a slight improvement in Hibs from the week before, but still conceded a goal very early and the masters of their own downfall for the third goal, weren't they? So I guess David Gray's got a lot to work on. But if that's the way he wants them to play out from the back, then mistakes are going to be made. Celtic have got quick players to capitalise on that. They're two of the quickest, actually, in the shape of Maida and Kuhn. Speaking of those two, I thought the second goal was brilliant. I really liked the second goal. He's Maida's pulling that ball down from a great height, and it's at pace, and he's running at pace, and that wee dink past the goalkeeper is just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, because you get the presence of mind to see the defender coming as well, but just does what every striker does, just get a wee toe poke on it, Ryan, and just puts it by the goalkeeper. It's lovely. That's game over for me at that point. I know Hibs got that goal in the header and came into it and had a wee spell either side of half time, but I never felt threatened by that. I just thought, okay, sometimes you've got to just tip your hat and say that's a cracking goal. But Maida's second goal was terrific. Really enjoyed watching that. Great ball from Kuhn, the weight of the pass, just knowing that he's running onto it. Terrific.
Yeah, I just thought the pass again from Nicholas Kuhn. He's done that at least 4 or 5 times now. That outside of the foot, outside of the boot pass to his striker. It's a striker's dream ball to get on the end of, because it's just played with pace. Maeda's game is all about pace, and it's just a great pick out from the German winger, and it is a great finish. 2 really good finishes from Daizen Maeda. I know he's that player. He's a bit of a scruffy player in which you won't get. I mean, you will get the moments like he did against Hibs a couple of years ago, against Livingston last season. But a lot of his game is that hard stuff, doing the dirty work off the ball, and even the dirty work on the ball, in terms of getting his foot on the ball to go to get the ball over the line for his club. I just like to see that, and I thought the second goal in particular was a real showing of his qualities. He understood the assignment, he understood where he needed to be at that moment in time, and it was great to see.
Yeah, Brendan said he was absolutely outstanding. 1888 CFC, Daizen is a machine, certainly is, and Francis Leicester saying Daizen a different class. He puts 110% in every game. His closing down is phenomenal. There you go. He does indeed. My only issue with that, Francis, is you can't put 110% in. You can only put 100% in. That's a bit of a bugbear of mine, but I know exactly what you mean. He's a wholehearted player. He's committed, and he does everything that you want. He does everything that he says on the tin, Ryan, and his closing down is phenomenal. Francis, I'm only having a wee laugh there about the 100 and 110%. Just one of my things, but there you go. But yeah, I was impressed with him today. I was impressed with quite a lot about today as well. The fact that the wingers were all great for me. Forrest as well. Kuhn, Maida, Yang looked in the mood, didn't he? Palmer got involved. Francis Leicester coming back with a laughing emojis. Top man, appreciate you taking it in that spirit. And also, Callum McGregor was just Callum McGregor like today, wasn't he? And Hatate and O'Reilly flitted in when they got involved. They were excellent, but you weren't going overboard about either of them today, were you? And they still managed to win the game, convincingly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, was it Hatate you were talking about in terms of going overboard?
Both him and O'Reilly, so...
I thought the two had a half each. They were really, really influential. I thought Rio Hatate in the first half was brilliant. Tired a bit in the second half, and I think it was the right decision to take him off when they did. I think that's when Matt O'Reilly came into his game ever so slightly, and you started to see some of the nice passing. It's not just attacking passing that's good as well. It's getting his team out of trouble in those passes. Those wide passes that'll maybe go out and in, and it will take away all the pressure of the opposition, because he does do the dirty work. That's why Matt O'Reilly is the perfect midfield player for the modern game, because he can do it all. He can do the attacking side, he can do the defensive side. He's clearly a good egg off the pitch. He looks after himself. He is good with the mental side of football, and he's a consummate professional, and he's not getting involved with all of the rumours that are going on outside. He's a solid 8 out of 10 most weeks, with the potential to get a 9 or 10 sometimes. Having that consistency game on game, week after week, is only going to help Celtic. And for however long he's here, whether that's until the end of the season, January, or in the next couple of weeks if he does depart the club, he's handled this impeccably.
Yeah.
All of this chat. My hunch says that he will stay. I know Brendan Rodgers didn't want to get it drawn into the specifics of what was actually happening with him, but I think he might stay for another season and really just kick on, and then he'll get his choice of clubs next season. I think we've all got our fingers crossed with that. But I think Hatate's game is as good as Matt O'Reilly allows him to be as well. I think the two work really well together, and Cal McGregor as well as the sort of base of the midfield. So yeah, that midfield three plus Greg Taylor coming in and being that auxiliary midfielder when required, it's definitely working at the moment. And Celtic's best position is the midfield and the wide areas, and it's clear to see why.
I didn't think either of them had a particularly poor game today, Ryan. I just thought they were outshone by others who were more centre stage and more prominent. But I thought, and that's kind of, you kind of rely on them to just be, as you say, steady 7, steady 8, kind of 9 players, and that's kind of high bar that they've set for themselves at this club, And as I say, we couldn't not have won the game without them performing. But I would just say that others kind of grasped the net a wee bit more to the eye, like Maida, Kuhn for me, and McGregor and Taylor were the pick of my, and Forrest as well when he was on the park for an hour. So that was they were the kind of pickouts or standouts for me. Again, didn't see Schmeichel. Saw him once. He dug the ball out the net from that thumping header.
A couple of nice bits of distribution, but that's it, really.
Still don't know. Still don't know what's going to happen. Just go fine. Cameron Carter-Vickers I've noticed the past couple of games he's thundered into a couple of things because it was a foul that he gave away that led to the goal, wasn't it? And he, and I'm not having a dig at it, and just observations more that he's thundered into a couple of things in the past couple of games that you think, that's not like you. It's uncharacteristic, And then at Easter Road, him and Scales were chasing your man out, and he managed to get past him and scalp the crossbar. Whereas the CCV of old would have just cleared everything, man and ball. And today I thought the one that did he get booked for that? I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't understand why that was a booking, to be honest. It didn't make sense with the consistency of the game or lack of consistency.
Clumsy, but
that was the only thing that he did wrong. So I think that I gave him an 8 out of 10 on the player ratings because I thought he was colossal, especially in the second half of the game. But I think that's just a statement of how good we expect Carter-Vickers to be.
Yeah, again,
then it's a highlight because it doesn't come about very often.
Yeah, I mean, and as you say, I was nitpicking there about Cameron Carter-Vickers because I think the world of him. I think he's a fantastic footballer. But just a couple of things I've just thought he's did in the past couple of games that are uncharacteristic of him, but it's not to detract from his performances in any shape or form because he's solid. As you say, we christened him Cameron Carter-Vickers 8, didn't we? On any given day, with the possibility that he's a 9, and that performance that he put in at Hampden that time before he went under the surgeon's knife for the knee was a 10. It was just like a wonderful display, and that was the semi-final, wasn't it? Semi-final Scottish Cup.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The one when Jota scored, yeah.
Yep.
I just think that was a performance for the ages from Cameron Carter-Vickers. So before anybody says, "Oh, you're going off your nuts slagging Big C's," I'm not slagging him. I'm just saying I think highly of him. I think he's a fantastic defender, and we need someone of that ilk beside him. I maintain, Ryan, and I hope that Celtic are still scouting for a centre back and a left back because we want Greg Taylor to be challenged, but you can't fault Greg Taylor's faultless start to the season. He's stepped up to the plate, and another one who, despite the contract issues in the background, he's not caring. He's just getting on with the job.
Yep, and that's the best attitude to have in all of this because regardless of what is happening to them individually in terms of if they're going to move to a new club, if the contract hasn't been signed yet and it's running down, they're not letting that get in the way of the task at hand just now, which is maintaining the standards that Brendan Rodgers has set and themselves, to be fair, because Matt O'Reilly and Greg Taylor have installed massive standards ever since Ange Postecoglou came to the club in particular. The two of them were two important cogs. I would say Matt O'Reilly's even more important now due to the way that Brendan Rodgers plays him in this side. But yeah, I think it's just they're just a team of professionals, really. Even Hatate, who had a bit of a problematic start that last season, he's clearly playing with his head up and his tail up as well, and he's quite happy with what's going on at the moment. So yeah, there's not really any complaints about any player's attitude or attitude problems. I think everybody's on the same boat. They're all pulling for the same thing, which is to make Celtic as successful as they can, and they're doing a good job at it so far.
Soundex Phonetic, hail troops, new subber, regular watcher. That's what we like to hear, Soundex Phonetic. New subs, we like that, don't we, Ryan? Those words are music to our ears. And Francis coming back in and saying it just comes as a shock when Cameron Carter-Vickers does something out of character. I guess that's what the point I was driving at. Is just you do tend to notice it when he does it because it's just they are few and far between and have been. And Curly's LBBS saying Taylor's playing for a new contract. Hopefully he gets it. I think he is getting it at the minute because he's playing some stuff and arguably in the best form. People will say the form that he showed under Ange when he was playing the inverted fullback was terrific. He was terrific doing that as well. And Andy Lee coming in. Palmer trying a bit too hard today, he's saying. Ryan, do you agree with that?
I think he's just trying to get involved in the game because, he'll have been annoyed himself, the fact that Yang was coming on before him. He'll see himself as a first pick at Celtic at this moment in time. I know he's not, but, that was the case last season for a large part of it. He was starting a lot of games for Celtic. So when he does have a chance to come onto the pitch, he's having to catch up, really. And seeing guys like Kuhn, Forrest, to a lesser extent Yang with what he was doing too, he's got to catch up with these players, and I do feel for him in that regard. I think he just needs. I don't know. You're already looking to that Falkirk game as a potential game that he could potentially start. It's difficult just now because Maeda's going to play every game. Nicholas Kuhn's going to play every game at this moment in time. Kyogo and Ida will fight it out for that starting spot. I don't think he's been quoted as being an attacking midfielder like a lot of people think he could be, potentially. So that position's already taken by O'Reilly. So it's all about getting that next opportunity. He's going to have to be patient, and when it does come around, he's going to have to take it with both hands.
Okay. AGSC Tech saying Palmer really lacks any ability in his left foot. He thinks that will limit his Celtic career to being a good squad guy, but he'll be a good squad player. Time will tell on that. And Mark Davis coming in saying he thinks that might be the problem with Cameron Carter-Vickers. He needs a centre-back of his ilk because then he might be able to cut out the reckless challenges and be as dominant as he always is. I think that's the kind of point I'm driving at. I've seen him do things past couple of games that just not like him. People can have their opinion on that as well, but that's the point I'm kind of driving at, Mark. Yeah, definitely. I've noticed that as well. And Curly's LBBS saying Palmer might be better suited as a number 10, Ryan. We've thought about this before, haven't we, as well? That he could be better served functioning in that role. Time will tell if Brendan Rodgers wants to play him in that role, but he has to go some to displace any of the wingers at this moment in time. Isn't that right? I think in terms of what if you were to ask Brendan Rodgers, you'd probably say he's the one that needs to produce more, doesn't he, at this moment in time? It's there. We've seen it before. He has got it.
Consistency is his biggest problem at Celtic, and I think injuries have played a part as well. So it's an amalgamation of a couple of things, but Brendan Rodgers still believes in him. He was bigging him up after the Chelsea game in particular, so it was either Chelsea or Man City. It was one of the two games, but he was bigging him up. So he knows that he's good quality. He knows that he's getting better off the ball too. So it's all about when is Rodgers going to unleash him on that left wing and see if he can kick on. Unfortunately, just now, and he did allude to it in his press conference as well, he said now isn't really the time for changing the team. If you can keep a stable team at this point in time, then he's going to do it, because and a winning team as well. That's the thing. It's a stable team, but it's also a winning team. There's no need to change anything just now.
That for me was a warning to these guys who are maybe chapping his door and saying, why am I not getting a game? That was him saying, well, look at what the team's producing. Do you want to be part of it, or do you want to be a bit part player, or do you want to make that impact? I'm giving you minutes, but it's not happening. you need to go some to convince me that you're worthy of a start in this team at this particular moment in time. I think Palmer certainly falls into that category. 1888 CFC coming in saying the Celtic supporter delighted, there's good vibes, can feel it in the atmosphere. Do you agree with that, Ryan? And Craig is saying if Palmer's as good as Palmer thinks, we would have some player exactly. And Parkhead Boy saying he was surprised how good the atmosphere was inside the ground. And Stephen John getting a bit of Beach Boys there. Good vibrations, Ryan. Old Beach Boys song, if you're familiar with that, I hope you are.
Of course, I know that.
I know you know your music. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, there's a good vibe just now about Celtic. I think it's helped by the fact that they've brought these players in. Hopefully they'll bring in a couple more players to just supplement the squad. I maintain the same points that I do as always. I'll say it till the cows come home. They need players. They need 2 or 3 players of real quality. I would expect, or not expect, but I would hope that Celtic could maybe spend 15 to 20 million on 3 players of real quality for Europe, because I think they'll make it back. This is the thing. It's not like it's a risk. They'll make it back either on the transfer signings that they get for these players in 2-3 years' time, or they'll make it back in their European run.
I tell you why I was buoyed by the manager on Friday when he spoke about that risk and reward. And I was heartened and encouraged by the fact he was talking about you could buy £1 million players and sell them for 10, or you can buy £7 million players, £8 million players and sell them for 40.
Yep.
I was kind of like, that bodes well for the rest of the window. Hopefully that's the kind of player that they're looking at now to take them into the Champions League, maybe get a couple of them in before the end of the window, Ryan. That's what I was taking from that they might target that, that a sprinkle of magic dust kind of player who can come in and make the difference makers, as Brendan Rodgers calls them, guys that can help your club. And he said today again, he reiterated, we don't want to go into the Champions League to participate, we want to compete. So I'm always reading and into what the manager says. I'm always listening, and I was heartened by that, whether it comes to fruition or not, Ryan. But he made a specific point of saying that on Friday, didn't he? About the £7 million players being sold for 30, 40 million and stuff like that. And it just got me thinking, let's put it that way. Got me dreaming as well, who we're going to bring in, so we shall see. We have, 12 days are the 30th of August, we will find out. Yeah.
Yep. As I watch this space, hopefully that space is getting filled with some players of real quality. But Brendan Rodgers knows the areas in which he needs to improve. So it's now down to the board the scouting team to identify those players if they've not already been identified. I'd be a bit concerned if they weren't identified by now. For the board to actually part with the cash that's required to bring these players through the door, because Brendan Rodgers improves every player, and every player that you bring in for maybe 7, 8, 9 million, their valuation will improve by working under the manager. He's an incredible manager with really good individual skills and working with individuals and making them the best player that they can be. You only have to look at Luis Suarez, you only have to look at James Maddison, Scott Sinclair, Stuart Armstrong, and the list goes on. Kieran Tierney, I could name them all day. Iheanacho as well at Leicester. There's so many. Matt O'Reilly last season. So there's so many players that do improve under Brendan Rodgers, and that should be one of the main selling points for any player coming to the club, that this is a manager that is going to enhance your career. I think you've got to be open and honest about where Celtic are. They are a good showcase for not the bigger teams, but the better teams that are maybe going to pay more money down the line. But it's a great stopgap. It's a great audition process. If you can do it there, then you really do put yourself in the shop window. And I think that's got to be, given out as a I don't know, not as an instruction, as an example of what can happen if you go to Celtic. Basically, that's my sort of viewing on it.
I thought you were going to go all Frank Sinatra on me there, Ryan. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, i.e. Celtic, and it's up to you. There you go. Indeed, he does. I mean, we'll bang that drum long and weary that the manager improves players and he takes them where they want to go. And Celtic are a magnificent showcase for your talent because you're playing at the top level of European football. And you've got a chance to come to a club where you develop a lot of thinking, a lot of good habits, forming your career, like winning. You get what it's like to get your hands on silverware. They're always competing for the trophies, and certainly domestically. Then you're competing against the best that European football has to offer in the best club competition in the world. So you get to experience all that at a club like Celtic. We spoke for a long time about how they really are a viable proposition for any player, and Celtic can now go in certainly financially and compete for a calibre of player that Brendan Rodgers believes was a quality. That word quality again, and can make the difference at this elite level of competition that you're going to be hit with in the new format in a few months' time. So I'm really looking forward to that, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to everything that encompasses this season, whether it be the League Cup, the Scottish Cup in the new year, the Champions League domestically, and the Scottish Premiership. Every game's exciting when you've got Brendan Rodgers as your manager at the moment, because the football that's getting played on the park's good. The press conferences that are happening are great off the park. Everything's going in the right direction. You're just hoping that there's a great end to the window. Another 3 wins before another 2 wins before the international break would be absolutely brilliant, and then they would really set themselves up for a great position going into the opening Champions League games. It's exciting times. It's an exciting time to cover Celtic, to support Celtic, to watch Celtic, and let's strap ourselves in for the ride that we're going to be going on this season.
As the commenter said, Ryan, we're picking up good vibrations. Isn't that right? So yep. I think on that note, we shall end the broadcast. 46 minutes in, 500 people watching. Incredible, guys. Thank you so much. We just love talking about the club that we love, and another good win today, another cracking performance. Football's good, and it's only going to get better. Excuse me, Adam Ida's back. He'll get back into the groove soon enough, won't he, Ryan?
Yes, yeah. I think his touch deserted him a little bit today, but I'm not going to hold it too much. I'm not going to hold it against him too much. He's probably very excited, maybe even a bit nervous coming on back on the pitch after the big song and dance.
Easing himself in. Yeah, I think easing himself into the phrase.
He scores more goals away from home than at home anyway, so I would expect him to be banging in the goals starting at St Mirren next weekend. He's just that. He's an effective player. He's got lots of development still to do in his game, but I think Celtic have spent that money because they can see the development and the sure quality that is going to come in the next 24 months. That was what Brendan Rodgers said. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing his development in the medium to long term future.
Just remind you of this, guys. Midnight tomorrow, deal runs out. £12 for 12 months of access to everything we do on the site. You'll get notifications when we're going on a YouTube broadcast as well. Can't say any fairer than that. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you to everybody that has so far. Thank you to all our existing subscribers as well. We couldn't do it without you, so thanks very much. Appreciate it greatly. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Great chat, guys, says Hazel. Thank you, Hazel. Mark Davis saying, thanks, guys. Great show as always. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Same to yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. What's left of it. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 o'clock, Ryan. Same back channel to talk about it all over again and look forward to the week ahead.
Absolutely. Here's hoping that we've got some more stuff to talk about this time, or not this time, at 10 a.m. tomorrow as we move into the final couple weeks of the transfer window. Fingers crossed. We can talk about today's game. But yeah, looking forward to being back on at 10 tomorrow to discuss it all.
Take care, guys. All the best.
Cheers, guys.